Hello everybody and welcome to the Circuit de Barcelona Catalonia for Racecraft TV Rallycross, 8th round of the season. We're here for the very first time at the Barcelona Rallycross circuit. It's a very interesting circuit. We've never seen too much racing here on the iRacing platform. It's a very new circuit to the service, so I'm looking forward to seeing what the drivers can do today. Happy that you can all join us on this Sunday evening. Dane Baird here alongside Joshua Lee, with car cams provided by Istanbul at trackcams22.com. As always, Josh, welcome to Barcelona. We've never done a broadcast here together for Rallycross. It's definitely going to be unique. We haven't really seen too much action here in the last few months since it was released, so it should be a pretty interesting round for us.
It's definitely going to be interesting, especially, I think, Dane, because this track has really not been used at all when it comes to World Championship and World Championship-alike events. Has not been used in the qualifying series, was used in the All-Star Invitational in the spring, just about right after this circuit came out for the All-Stars, for more of the real-life pros, but has not been used too much when it comes to anything else. So we're really getting to see some of the first laps that a lot of our pros are going to take on this track tonight, and we are also going to see a lot of these RX2, a lot of the newer drivers to iRacing Rallycross take to this course for the first time as well.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the drivers may not have even raced it ever before, so we haven't done a broadcast here before. Some of the drivers may not have been at this circuit before, so it is going to be a new experience for a lot of the drivers. It's not the easiest circuit. It's actually quite a tricky one, so it definitely will be interesting. It's one of the newest circuits, in fact the newest circuit to be added to the iRacing service. I believe it was added in season 1 of 2021, so very new to the service. And we have seen some comments from the drivers saying maybe it's going to be a little bit too single file, not too many places to pass, but the Joker is very interesting here and should provide some good opportunities for the drivers to make up some positions. So we've got qualifying just underway and the drivers are out setting their lap times, and let's take a look at the schedule for this season so far. Both RX2 and RX1 are visiting this round of the championship as always. Round number 8 at Barcelona, we have visited Brands Hatch last week, which was a banger of a race, and then obviously the previous 6 rounds on the American side of the calendar. We're going to Hell Lancarbana next week for the final round in Europe, and then we head back over to repeat the first 3 rounds of the season at Phoenix, Sonoma and Charlotte. We'll see how the drivers have improved and who can redeem themselves from those opening 3 rounds in those final 3 rounds as we head towards the end of the championship. It's beginning to get into the crunch time of the championship with just 5 rounds left to go. Here's how the drivers are going to be scoring points today. Most of your points are going to be scored in the feature, of course, as it should be, but you're also going to get points for the top 8 in the heat races as well. And just looking through the entry list in RX2 at the moment, we have got 8 drivers, so we will have 1 qualifying session, 1 heat race, and straight into the feature. This is what the points look like, and as I mentioned at the end of last week's broadcast, Josh, in the RX1, in RX2 we've got a 3-way tie for the lead of the championship. That's insane.
Borison, Teal, and Watson are currently tied at that top spot, and tonight's going to be the test of those 3 drivers to see what they've got on the racetrack and to see who can prevail. Remember, 2 drop weeks are also counted, so we're going to see those points continue to fluctuate up until the last round of this championship. But with those 2 drop weeks, even with those factored in, you got to make sure you're still consistent, because if you already have 2 bad races that you want to forget, you got to make the remaining 5 worthwhile for you in the points. And Torandre Borison has been on a good streak, and so has Trevor Teal when it comes to good finishes. James Watson's been consistent as well. No surprise to see those 3 at the top.
And just looking at the screen, theoretically, anyone inside the top 9 could come out of this round leading the championship. Still. That's just absolutely insane to think of how close the racing has been across the season so far. as we're taking a look at Trevor Thiel coming around the final few corners of the circuit. I say the final few corners, it should be the final few corners, but for some reason on iRacing it's not. The finish line is not where it's supposed to be. It's halfway around the lap. So over the jump he goes. Very, very tricky circuit. Quite now you've got these blue turtle curbs all over the place. The final two corners on iRacing's version of the circuit, and across underneath the timing beam, we'll see where that lap time will put him as he comes around the second corner on the circuit. Long left-hander on the tarmac, and then the tricky chicane to head onto the dirt through the right-hander, swooping into this big old left hairpin. No, Thiel hits the barriers on the outside. That's going to invalidate his lap time, but he will carry on going and show us what is turn one in the real world, but isn't turn one here on iRacing through this very tricky part of the circuit. Long dirt right-hander, left kink, the barrier really sticks out a lot, and then swinging the car, the back of the car wants to spin you around over the curbs into the final corner. You can see the Joker there on the outside, and then underneath the timing beam to start another lap. So this is going to be a very interesting race, I think, Josh. We're not going to see too many passes on track, but the Joker is definitely going to make things very interesting indeed.
And that Joker lane, one of the Jokers that we talk about being longer, and it is a bit longer here in Barcelona, just like it is a lot of the European tracks that we go to. Of course, this is the second to last leg on the European tour. Brands Hatch, Barcelona, and Hell and Brands Hatch is shorter in distance, longer in time with all of the bumps. This one is longer in time and longer in distance. It goes a little bit more to the outside towards the final chicane, if you're familiar with the Grand Prix layout here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. So those drivers will need to navigate that Joker and know exactly when to take to the Joker, because it's going to really be more of a penalty than it is going to be helpful for a driver to take that Joker like it is in the US Grand Prix.
Yeah, it is definitely very different for the drivers. They have to get used to a different style of Joker, and it's not just about the difference there. You've got to realize that you're going to come out behind where you are now, so you've got to figure out that gap and work out where you want to be coming out. But it is very challenging to switch between the two different types of Joker. The big deal here with the Joker at Barcelona is that it is normally the strategy that we see very often is for drivers to take their Joker on the last lap. Gives them more options, and yeah, it really just does give them a lot of options. Here, you don't want to do that. If you take your Joker on the last lap, you're going to lose time. Anyway, let's have a look at the starting grid for this heat race. It will set the grid for the feature. Andrew Howell on the front row of the grid, followed by Tor Morrison, Trevor Thiel, Mikey Lawrence, James Watson, Rodrigo Miranda in the top 6. Then Crystal King and Sean Winkler in 7th and 8th. We are just about ready to get going, waiting on one of the drivers. It's going to be 2 wide and on each of the rows, so very similar to how it was back at Brands Hatch. Josh, what are you expecting heading into the start of this race? It's a very interesting place to start the race.
This is the cliche, but I'm expecting a little bit of unexpected, because those drivers are diving into turn number 1 and they're going almost immediately into an asphalt portion of the racetrack to gain speed, diving into a dirt section of the racetrack. Gonna provide a bit of carnage, I think, early as the lights go out and we're underway.
Absolutely, and straight into the left-hand hairpin now, and oh, there's a bit of contact on the outside. I think that's Trevor Thiel getting involved in some contact with one of the other drivers. Morrison is out in front, though, ahead of Howell, and oh, Trevor Thiel's ended up in the barrier on the outside of what should be the first real corner on the circuit. It is Morrison still out in front, though. Is anyone going to take the Joker on the first time by? They can't, because they haven't crossed the start-finish line yet. We have now started the first lap of the race, and the drivers can take to the Joker if they so choose. Trevor Thiel at the back of the field. Very unfortunate stuff for him. Around about 5 seconds back from the end of this pack. Morrison still out in front. Then as we come around through this dirt hairpin, it transitions onto tarmac halfway through, so it's a very tricky corner to get the power down on, because obviously you don't want to get too much wheel spin on the tarmac, Josh, and it doesn't really invite that on the entry in dirt.
Definitely not. And now the main thing for these drivers is to think about when they're going to take that Joker, because if you're battling with another car, obviously taking the Joker is not going to help you at all. It is going to help them more than it will help you, because if you take that Joker, you're losing a ton of time. Here at the front, not a lot of drivers electing to Joker just yet. As drivers in the back, it looks like Trevor Teal going to elect a Joker here on this first lap. Everybody else looks to be staying out on the racetrack, especially those front two leaders.
Yeah, Rodrigo Miranda getting involved in some issues, actually, on that lap. And he got turned around just over the jump on that last lap as Kyle tries to sneak one up the inside. Doesn't quite make it work, unfortunately. Morrison still does lead. Not the biggest lead in the world, though. And there goes Hal down to the Joker on lap number 2. They'll come around. And this is interesting now, because the Joker, it gives you around about 3 seconds of a disadvantage. But coming out of the Joker, you gain speed on the exit of that first corner, and you can actually gain a little bit of that time back. That's bad for Hal. He's got stuck behind Watson now, and that's just going to lose more and more time to Borison, who's probably going to extend his advantage a bit now.
Trying to extend that advantage at the front as well, and Borison with that points lead needs to be a little bit more careful than I think he normally would be when it comes to this race. He needs to make sure that he is not trying to wreck himself and get out of this race, because he needs those consistent points. And with more drivers in this heat, as opposed to the normal maybe 5 car heats that we might normally see, to 6 car heats that we might normally see, going to be more of a challenge for Borison to be able to hold on to that points lead if he does end up having a problem. So he needs to make sure that he's staying clean and consistent at the front, exactly what he is doing right now. And with basically the Heat 2 and the Consolation being skipped, going right into the feature, Darndre Borison is going to be in prime position for that feature, as well as he is looking to take the pole position for tonight's RX2 feature.
Yep, no Heat 2 or Consolation today. Everyone's going straight through into the feature race, as we've seen quite often in the RX2 Championship. And yeah, he's coming around through this final lap of the race, coming up to, I believe, a couple of lapped cars. And oh, very, very close there. I believe that's Winkler just in the background of the shot there, getting a little bit wide through the left-hander and almost coming back to collect the race lead. I'm sure he wouldn't be too happy about that, but he is going to be happy about the 2.8 second lead that he currently has, although yeah, coming around the final couple of corners now, just has to keep it clean through here. Nothing really that he can hit on the outside of the track, at least. And drifting around the final corner is Tor Borison, who is going to take the win in the heat race for RX2, and with that will take pole position for the feature.
And exactly what Borison needed to do, in that pole position in the feature is going to net him some good gain, because remember, Darndre Borison in his last handful of races, he is very consistent. Winner of the feature from Daytona Long, winner of the feature from 1 week ago at Brands Hatch, looking to become the first RX2 driver this season to win a feature race back-to-back.
It's a possibility here. We have had a very unpredictable season so far in the RX2 portion of this championship so far, as the drivers are getting ready for a 2-minute warm-up. It's just kicked off. Drivers will be getting used to the conditions once more, as we'll take a look at the full race results. 3.2 seconds was the gap at the end there. Andrew Howell getting held up by both James Watson and Sean Winkler in that race. James Watson after taking his Joker, and then Sean Winkler right at the end of the race coming to lap him. Trevor Teal, unfortunately, 3 laps down after that really sad incident at the beginning of the race. Got stuck in the barrier, unfortunately for him. But Andrew Howell in second, James Watson finished in third. A good result there for James. Mikey Lawrence will start alongside him on the front row for the feature race after him finishing in fourth in this heat race. Crystal King in fifth. Rodrigo Miranda, despite getting turned around in the opening portions of that race, I actually ended up finishing in sixth and only half a second behind Crystal King as the drivers are out on the warm-up. Josh, and then we can get a cleaner start here for the feature race?
I think it's possible now that these drivers have one heat race under their belt, but you got to think, even if they try and keep it clean, remember, these drivers are not the most experienced when it comes to these rallycross cars. They're still learning a little bit on how to keep them under them as they go through especially high-speed technical portions of this racetrack. So I'm expecting it to be a little bit cleaner, but you still also have to keep in the back of your mind, we could see just a little bit of carnage just from them being a little bit less skilled than the drivers we'll see in RX1. But we see some great racing here in RX2, so even with that, I'm expecting a lot of these drivers to be strong here in the feature, especially Tor-Andre Borison, who has shown himself with 2 RX2 feature race wins this season as one of the favorites.
He most certainly has, and I just find it incredible, Josh, that we have a tie for the lead in the championship at this point in time. It is truly incredible as we are getting ready to go. Drivers are getting gridded up. Let's take a look at how they'll line up on the grid. On the front row, Tor Borison and Andrew Howell, Ben James Watson and Mikey Lawrence. On the second row, Crystal King will line up alongside Rodrigo Miranda on row 3, and on row 4, Trevor Teal lines up outside of Sean Winkler. We're ready to get underway for this feature race. Round number 8 of Racecraft TV Rallycross RX2 is about to begin. We're just waiting on Tor Borison to get onto the grid. As I said earlier in the season, it is a bit of a game that they play. Who can get on the grid last? Borison's won the game this time. Will he win the run down in towards turn 1? Let's find out as the lights are on, the revs are rising, we're ready to race, and we go green. And oh my goodness, Mikey Lawrence from 4th on the grid with a fantastic start on the outside. He's already into 2nd as Andrew Howell gets turned around by James Watson, who's stuck in the background, I believe, with Crystal King. It's chaos here at the start of the race, and Borison is run away in first.
Running away is right, and take a look at Rodrigo Miranda now trying to hold off Trevor Teal, and around goes Miranda. They were trying to get into that first corner, but getting turned around goes the number 54 Machina Miranda. This is gifting Tor-Andre Borison a great lead now. Switch back through the dirt and is able to keep that lead. Mikey Lawrence, what a start from him. Dane, you mentioned it. Now trying to chase down the race leader, but he's still got a while to go before he catches Tor-Andre Borison up at the front.
He got an absolutely insane launch off the line. It was really unbelievable. Maybe I'm actually just checking to see if he didn't get a jump start. He didn't. He got an awesome start from the outside lane there, already getting ahead of Howell before they made it into the first corner. Then, of course, Howell getting turned by Watson made his job a little bit easier, and up at the second he went. But still a fantastic launch off of the line, off of the start. And on the second lap of 10, remember, in the feature race, not 5 like we had in the heat, he is getting chased down by Howell. We know he's one of the quicker drivers in the series, so it's going to be a little bit interesting to see how that battle unfolds as Borison goes further into the distance. Watch on the outside of the screen, on the left-hand side, Laurent. Here he comes around the outside. Awesome launch from him. All the way around the outside he goes. And then there's that contact between Watson and Howell there, and Watson ended up going the wrong way around the circuit. Very unfortunate, and it was Crystal King who got involved with that as well. Watson landing on top of her car. So yeah, very unfortunate stuff for those two drivers, but King's done all right, up into 5th place at the moment. Some of the drivers taking their jokers. Trevor Teal has just crossed the line after taking his joker, and he is currently in 4th position. As Howell has got past Lawrence, but Lawrence jokered whilst we were on the replay, so we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. I would imagine that Howell will try and take his joker sooner rather than later to try and get that advantage that he had over Lawrence and turn that into some track position. We'll see if he manages to do that or not, but he is slowly starting to catch up to Borison. As I say that, Borison heads down into the joker, I believe. The Howell did as well. Yes, both of them jokering. So it's Borison followed by Howell, followed by Lawrence. and everybody has now taken their Joker. So it's all on track battles that we have for the rest of the 5 laps or 6 laps that we have to go.
As they come across the line, that will be 6 to go. Borison leading since the outset. Andrew Howell has a good bit of time to make up, and it's going to be challenging for him to do here, Dane. Look at that gap, 2.2 seconds in between second place Andrew Howell and the current race leader, Tor-Andre Borison. Across the line they go. 6 laps now remaining here in the RX2 feature, but he's not able to make up any ground on that gap. Andrew Howell still roughly about 1.8 tenths back. This is where he's a little bit better than Borison, but you can see Borison pull right back away when he goes into this final portion of the racetrack. And look at that slide from Andrew Howell, only going to lose him even more time as he goes wide on the exit.
Yep, now heading to this very tricky dirt right-hander. It's so easy to just force the car wide into those barriers on the outside. It's all too easy to do that. But Borison under pressure from Howell, doing well under pressure, it must be said. He's already faced off this pressure from the heat race, as Lawrence is still holding his own in third place at the moment. Winkler and Teal are getting pretty close together as well. Just over a second between those two drivers, as you can see there. Teal trying to close down the gap and maybe make a move for that 4th position. The gap between Borison and Howell fluctuating between 1 and 2 seconds depending on what part of the circuit they're on. They definitely do prefer different parts of the circuit. And riding on board now with Trevor Teal. We'll see, can he move his ended up the inside into this hairpin? Oh no, he's stuck in the barrier again, and that's awful for him. He's going to get under pressure from Watson now, maybe. Bit of damage to the front of that Subaru for sure. As just in the front of that shot, last place Miranda has found himself facing into the wall through this tarmac left-hander. He's just about to get lapped, it looks like, with 4 laps to go. He's gone a bit deep into the hairpin there as well, but he probably does have a bit of damage from the start of the race. On board now with the leader, Josh, and he'll take us for a lap.
And he is going to go into this final dirt section. This goes over the jump here. A bit of a sideways jump as well. You need to be turned in for this corner while you're going over that jump. Makes it a little bit more challenging. Through the final corner, here's the start-finish line, and long sweeping asphalt corner. This is the final sector of the Grand Prix circuit into a sweeping left-hander. Make sure you don't get back on the throttle too early, or you'll be spinning all 4 tires going straight. Here's the dirt section, very technical. Gotta make sure you're not on that throttle too much to where you don't go spinning off and into the corner. And there goes Tor-Andre Borison right by the lap machine of Rodrigo Miranda. Back to the dirt for one more time. Sweeping right-hander here. Get back on the throttle a little bit earlier here so you can get that momentum going into this dirt jump. Like I said, gotta be turned in already for that jump and be turned in for the corner while you're landing. 2 laps to go now. A perfect lap from Tor-Andre Borison as he extends his lead at the top, 1.8 seconds.
Yeah, that was a very clean lap indeed, getting past Miranda as well, getting right out of the way at that hairpin near the end of the lap, or near the middle of the lap, I should say. So good stuff there from Rodrigo Miranda. As we can see now, riding on board with Andrew Howell on board through the hairpin. You can see different lines being taken by the drivers here. Howell sending it much more sideways into that hairpin than we saw Borison do. So different lines preferred by different drivers, but it looks like Borison's line looks to be a bit quicker. Let's see, of course, he is out in front of this race, but Howell seems to be closing down. It doesn't really matter though, I don't think, because Borison takes the white flag. We're on the final lap of the race now, the feature race for round number 8 of Racecraft TV Rallycross's RX2 division. And now back onto the dirt he will come for the final time in this race. You can see Crystal King just in front, but he's not going to be worried about that. He'll be a little bit more worried about that mistake that he might have made there. A little bit loose coming out of the hairpin. Howell still right on the back of Borison's car, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Borison now coming through the jump. Is he going to land it? Yes, he does. Gets through there very nicely indeed. Very accurate he is through this final sector of the circuit. Round the final corner, under the timing beam he goes. And Tor Borison wins in the feature race.
What a win for Tor Andre Borison, the first driver this season in RX2 competition to go back-to-back in feature race wins. He won at Brands Hatch, and he wins again here at Barcelona. An absolute perfect race for Tor Andre Borison. Nothing else he really could have done better during that feature race, Dana. 1 second gap over Andrew Howell. The 666 tried to get up there, but unfortunately could not get there in time.
Yep, absolutely. Now the full race results up on the screen for RX2 as they make their way into the final 4 rounds of the season. Can't wait to see these guys back out on the track for round number 9 at Hell Lagerbanen. Here are the results on the screen. Tor Borison taking the win by just over a second for Andrew Howell. Mikey Lawrence in 3rd after a fantastic start at the beginning of this race. Sean Winkler finished in 4th place, Trevor Teal in 5th. They got very close once again, only half of a second separating them after Teal unfortunately put it in the wall trying to get past Winkler on lap 7. James Watson finished in 6th place, a good recovery after getting flipped over at the start of the race by Crystal King, who finished in 7th place. Rodrigo Miranda a lap down, the Brazilian in 8th position in that 54 Beetle, one of only 2 Beetles on the circuit today. And we'll see, Josh, if we can get a couple drivers waiting for a chat. But we can have a little look towards RX1 before then, as we've got some pretty big names in the RX1 lobby at the moment.
Oh, we certainly do. And we will take a quick peek inside their sim rigs right now. Robbie Larill, right side or left side, excuse me, of your screen, and Bo Albert, World Championship driver right now for Logitech GLTC Sports on the right side. They're getting set and ready for RX2 or RX1, excuse me. And Larill is hoping for a good effort. So is Bo Albert. And Bo has not had the best of luck as of late when it comes to the iRacing Rallycross World Championship presented by Yokohama. Hoping for a little bit better luck when it comes to Racecraft TV Rallycross tonight. And who knows, maybe we'll see a brand new winner up at the front of the field for the feature race tonight, because the last 2 feature races for RX1, Iowa and Brands Hatch, have both been won by Alex Bergeron.
Yep, absolutely. Hopefully, if he does well here tonight, hopefully we can carry that momentum into the World Championship races as well, because we do love Bo, but he really has not had very good luck in the World Championship Series so far, has he? He's been involved in far too many incidents, and you could probably blame a couple of them on Aussie Ping, but we'll have to wait and see how he does in the World Championship on Wednesday. But I cannot wait to see him out on track here tonight in RX1. Doesn't look like any of the drivers want to speak to us, Josh.
Don't believe so, but we can keep previewing RX1 competition tonight, because it is going to be one of the races that is going to be a bit of a statement race, I think, because we have 5 rounds remaining in the championship, including here at Barcelona, then Hell Lagerbanen, then Phoenix, Sonoma, and Charlotte. So time is running out. We're well past the halfway portion of the calendar. So as the drivers work their way into these last couple of rounds, if you're close to that points lead, if you are close to reaching the drivers at the top, which currently right now is Garrett Maines with Alex Bergeron 6 points behind, Josh Fox, Adam Alderson, and Josh Edmonds in the top 5 in the points. Need to start good nights here, because you don't want to rely on the drop weeks to give you a good finish in the points.
Yeah, you definitely want to have a couple drop weeks that are still high scoring rounds. We've seen this in multiple series that we've worked on together, Josh. Drop scores can be the difference between winning and losing a championship. If you have got drop scores of 0, you have to perform every single round, because if you don't, that score's going to count no matter what. Whereas if you have a drop score of, say, I don't know, 20 points, if you've somehow managed to do that, you drop some points, that is now your new drop score. So you still get those 20 points added to your current tally. So it's a very crucial part of these championships, where you've got people with different drop scores. Keeping track of other people's drop scores is very important when trying to figure out where you need to be in order to get to your desired championship position. So it's definitely something the drivers will have to keep in mind, and something that the drivers will want to keep as high as possible. The more drop points you have, the more points you'll get added to your total if you end up not finishing one of the races. So yeah, drop scores are a very important part of this championship. Well, looks like we haven't had anyone from RX2 wanting to have a chat with us, but congratulations to all of those finishes anyway. And yeah, we've got a massive RX1 field full of some pretty big names coming up in just a few moments. But for now, we're going to go for a break. We'll have RX1 action on the circuit in a few moments. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This is our series,
So many different pieces that you have to watch out for.
where the stakes are always higher,
$300,000.
where virtual meets reality,
How bad do you want it? They're wasting no time getting at it.
where the best thrive and the flawless win. This is the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars, and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone, and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hickory on a beautiful 80-degree Easter Saturday.
Welcome back to Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia here for round number 8 of Racecraft TV Rallycross. This time, we're getting ready for RX1 action. We've seen the RX2 guys out on circuit. They've given us 2 pretty good races, and we're now ready to go for RX1, the big boys. It's time to get some of the World Championship drivers out on the circuit. In bed here with Josh Lee, as always, in this series. Car cams created by Istvan below at trackcams22.com. Also, as always, in this series. And Josh, we've seen some pretty decent action in RX2 earlier on. RX1 just about getting underway with qualifying in a couple of minutes time. We've got some big names on the grid.
Some huge names on the grid. Most notably, Bo Albert making his first start here tonight. We have Josh Edmondson of short course fame, Josh Fox, Daniel Eisch, Garrett Maines, Robbie Larill, Alex Bergeron, Connor Parisi, Jacob Raffus, Keaton Swain, Adam Alderton, Bodie Cryer, Sindra Silva. I mean, all of the names that I just said, if you go into a normal Rallycross public lobby here on iRacing, I would say, oh, they have an immense chance of winning in that race. We have all of them packed into this one, and we are going to send at least a handful of them home. We're going to send 3 of them home. 13 are currently in the session right now. We'll go through the heats, the consolation, and have 10 drivers lined up for the feature. So 3 of these drivers will not make it into the feature. Don't ask me to predict who, Dane, because I have no idea.
And all of this means to me it's gonna be a long old night. As we get ready to go for qualifying, let's have a look at some championship standings. Well, the first person in across all standings to reach triple digits, Garrett Maines on a nice round number, 100 point up at the front. 6 points back is your race winner for the last 2 rounds, Alex Bergeron, followed by Josh Fox and Adam Alderton. Josh Edmondson round out the the top 5 in the standings. Josh, of course, finishing second in the iRacing 2021 Crandon Championship, the inaugural special event on the dirt road side of iRacing. That was yesterday afternoon. So congratulations to Josh on doing that. Robbie Larill in 6th place, Sindra Silva in 7th. Bodie Cryer was also in that event. He is 8th in the championship at the moment. Keaton Swain, he was also in that event yesterday, finished 3rd. So a couple of very, very quick guys in the short course world doing pretty well in the Rallycross Championship here as well. Matt Hartley tied with Keaton Swain on 39 points for 9th position after round 7. Once again, very, very similar to how we usually try to run RX2, except we've actually got enough drivers now to kick some of them out before we make it to the feature race. So we're going to have 2 5-lap heats. The odd qualifying drivers will go into heat number 1. The even qualifying drivers will go into heat number 2. Top 4 from each of those go through to the main event, and then everybody else goes to the 5-lap last chance qualifier. There'll be 5 drivers in that, and the top 2 will take 9th and 10th on the grid for the feature race. The feature race will be 10 laps long, and there is a 6 incident point limit for all of the drivers in each of the events, so drivers will have to watch out for that, as we've got 25 laps around the circuit, the Barcelona Catalonia Rallycross circuit, coming up for you, spread across 4 races. And taking a look at a couple of the drivers on their webcams at the moment. Bo having a couple of connection issues, maybe, as of course he is in Australia. That might have something to do with it. We're getting some really funky images from Bo's camera at the moment, but Sindra Silva laid back as always. Josh, he looks very calm when he's in the cockpit.
Definitely, and all these drivers usually look pretty calm when they're behind the wheel, just because they know what they're doing. I mean, these are some of the best of iRacing Rallycross. If any of them know what they're doing, it is these drivers. And we get a good look at Alex Bergeron. Remember, talking about him, he is the top driver right now when it comes to the wins. 3 feature race wins this season for the Jim Beaver Esports number 15, looking to make it 4 feature race wins here tonight. And as he comes across the line, puts himself only up into P8 right now on the timing sheet. We'll see if he can get himself a little bit further up as he slams into the wall there for just a moment. But Connor Parisi, another one of those drivers that is in the World Championship. And here's Bo Albert, P3 on the speed charts right now for Bo. A great start to the night for him.
Yep, absolutely. As the drivers are currently on, some of them even on their third qualifying laps at the moment. As we ride on board with Bo Albert, you can see him in his sim rig on the left-hand side and onboard shot on the right-hand side. He's going to come across the line now, straight through the pole. And what is that lap time good enough for? As he crosses the line there to finish his qualifying session. We'll have to wait for that answer. There's a couple more drivers still out on the circuit at the moment. They are finished all of their qualifying laps, but just still going out there for some practice, getting used to the track conditions, of course. They are variable. Just seen it on my screen, Josh Fox spinning in the background. But we are looking currently at one of the other drivers out on the circuit, Bodie Cryer, coming across the line to finish his third lap. His second lap, actually. The last lap invalidated for him. So he has yet to set a time at the moment. We'll see what he can do on this third and final attempt. He is, I think it's a 0x that cost him that last lap. Josh, it's pretty common here with those blue curbs. You can get them off there, and also the walls that you have to run so close to get a good lap time there.
Yeah, right there. He just hit it on the inside. Very easy to do, especially when you're trying to get as much time out of that lap as possible. You need to be close to those track limits, and sometimes you go just a little bit too far over. 42.294. It is an improvement for Bodie Cryer, but not going to be enough to move him up any positions. Here's Garrett Maines, currently the top driver right now, with a 40.583. Great start to the night for Garrett Maines. We'll see if this Elliott Sadler esports machine can keep that up tonight.
Yeah, as he is looking to maybe practice the start there. Nope, just resetting from the circuit as qualifying ticks over into heat number 1. We will get our grid for this first race. I believe we're going to get 7 drivers on the grid for heat number 1. And we'll see which 7 they are. Here we go. Garrett Maines on pole position, lining up alongside Bo Albert. Then Jakob Raffos making it an all-world championship top 3, who will line up alongside Robbie Larrill. Connor Parisi, former world championship driver, in 5th. Daniel Aish in 6th. And then lining up all on their own at the back of the grid, Keaton Swain will line up in 7th for this first heat race. As we are just waiting for a couple more drivers to hop onto the grid, and then we will be getting ready to go. Just waiting now for Garrett Maines on pole position. Look out for some of the drivers on the outside. Larrill, that did seem to be a very grippy part of the circuit, of course. The racing line on the Grand Prix circuit, lots of rubber laid down there. Can he get a good start from the outside as the revs are rising? We're ready to race for heat number 1. Oh, it's a fantastic start for Bo Albert. Garrett Maines has gone backwards. Raffos is up the outside, around the outside of him already, but just can't make it work. It's Bo Albert, followed by Garrett Maines and then Jakob Raffos, your top 3 at the moment. Bo's gone wide though. They're 3 wide, heading through the right-hander and up and over the jump. It goes just about single file. Bo Albert leads, heading into start lap number 1.
Rafa's going for all he possibly can. An early joker, it looks like, for Connor Parisi. He goes way off the racetrack and over into the joker lane. Takes that very early on. Heat number 1, we take the top 4. And as they race their way into the dirt section once again, Albert goes a little wide. A little bit of a tap to the tire barrier, but he's able to hold the lead. Can he keep that spot on Garrett Maines? Looks like he can for the moment as they almost make contact coming through. These top 3 are close together, all separated by about 7/10 on the racetrack as Raffos goes to the inside of Maines looking for that spot.
And this is really our first look of what the World Championship event is going to be looking like. When we head there for Wednesday evening, 3 drivers very skilled in their craft, trying to make things work on lap number 2 now of this first heat race, riding on board with Garrett Maines. We saw this very focused, very different to Sindre Silva. His on board very calm, very relaxed. Garrett Maines very complicated. He's really concentrating, trying to make things work. Got a little bit loose over the blue turtle curbs there. That's going to allow Rafos to try and get up into him, but no, there was contact behind, and Rafos has been overtaken by Laril, and now Connor Parisi is trying to make something happen as well.
Parisi is going to try and run up in this top 4. Remember, Parisi is fighting for that transfer spot now as he runs back there in P5. Needs to be up in P4 if he wants an opportunity for that transfer. This gives Laril an opportunity to Joker. Laril is over and out of the Joker now, so he gets his Joker out of the way. Parisi, Laril, and Aish all have now come into the Joker lane. Who else is going to elect to come in here in these next couple of laps? Laril stays on the racetrack now, trying to gain some spots back, and we go back up to Bo Albert. Interested to see, Dane, when Bo is going to try and come in for this Joker. He's going to need to do it soon. He goes up and over the jump. It'll be 2 to go this time by here in heat number 1. Still not taking the Joker, but there goes Maines.
He'll take it next time by, that's for sure. He was actually the driver that pointed it out to me, that he knows that the optimal strategy for the Joker is not taking it on the last lap, because you gain so much speed on your opponents heading down of that back straight after turn number 1. So taking the Joker on the last lap just negates all of that advantage. As, oh dear, Jakob Rafos in the background of the shot, getting all sorts of sideways, spinning over the blue curb, and he's really not had a good time in that part of the circuit so far in this event. Bo Albert surely going to head down the Joker this time by.
Yes, he
there
did.
He goes. Oh, it's going to be tight with Garrett Maines, but look at the extra speed. He's going to increase his advantage. 1 second, 1.2, 1.3, almost 1.4. Now it's 1.5 as they make their way through the long left-hander. Now onto the main section on the circuit here. Awesome shot, seeing the 2 drivers underneath in their cockpits. Really good of the drivers to then dust their webcams, their faces, a view inside of their sim rigs for this event. And Albert is looking to be on course to taking his first heat race win here in Racecraft TV Rallycross. Round the final corner he goes, and for once in Rallycross, Bo Albert has some good fortune, and he takes the win in heat number 1. He will start from pole position in the feature race.
Exactly what Bo Albert needed, and Jakob Rafos unfortunately going to finish 1 position too low. He unfortunately will miss out on qualifying into the feature. He is going to have to race out of the consolation. So we take a look at the full race results here from heat number 1, but it looks like a time penalty, I believe, was just applied to Daniel Aish. And that slides him down into P5, or maybe it was Connor Parisi with the time penalty.
It was Connor Parisi.
Yeah, either way,
he took to the Joker on the first lap. He took to the Joker the first time by. He hadn't crossed the start-finish line. I'm pretty sure that's a lovely penalty that's just been applied to Connor Parisi. So unfortunate stuff there. I'm pretty sure Connor was up in 4th or 3rd at the end of the race there, but he does end up down in 6th. So he is out of those transfer spots as we are already ready to go for heat number 2, and there's carnage at the start. Josh Fox is in the wall on the outside, as it looks like Edmondson maybe is that out in front. I stand corrected, he was out in front. He's run wide in the opening corner, and that's Sindre Silva now out in front.
What a hectic start here to heat number 2. Sindre Silva gets out in front. Josh Fox gets out in front. No, Josh Fox is in the back right now. A little bit of a timing issue. It is Sindre Silva at the front of the field now, with Josh Fox back in, I believe, in 6th place now, as Alex Bergeron sits P2. Alderton and Bodie Cryer the top 4 as our timing gets fixed up, and Silva now out in front. First takers to the Joker will be this time by as the top four could put a blanket over them right now. About 2 seconds separating all of them. Who's going to elect a joker early here?
Well, I wouldn't put your money on Sindre Silva. I think he is definitely going to leave it as late as possible. Cryer, I think, has just gone, no, he hasn't. It took a bit of an odd line through that final corner. I thought he was diving down into the Joker, but he didn't. Edmondson, I believe, might have taken to the Joker. I believe Fox definitely has taken to the Joker. Yep, those two now on the screen there, but it looks like those two are almost certainly going to be the two drivers heading down into that consolation race. The last chance qualifier for those two final transfer spots into the feature. The top four: Silva, Bergeron, Alderton, and Cryer. And Silva out in front pretty comfortably. It's quite a big gap out there as they head over the jump. You can see they use the jump to swing the car sideways to get that optimal line through the dirt left, the dirt right-hander straight after it. Really clip those curbs on the inside as well as they make their way through heat 2, lap number 3. I don't know how he does this. He's leaning so far back in his chair. That must be very uncomfortable, surely, for a long period of time, Josh. I mean, I sit up pretty straight when I'm racing. I'm not sure about you, but that seems a bit too laid back for me.
Yeah, I sit pretty straight up in my seat. I have it but basically exactly 90 degrees. I mean, I don't want to be slouching too much. Maybe it's because I'm short. I can't reach my pedals if I do that. But either way, I can't imagine slouching like that much either, like Sindre is. And clearly working for him, but he goes wide. He goes very wide off the Joker. New leader, Alex Bergeron. But Silva, crucially, is going to beat Adam Alderton, the second driver who has come into the Joker lane. So he is still safe and in the provision lead, just waiting on Alex Bergeron to work his way into the Joker, expecting him this time by.
Yeah, he should come through this time by. Whether or not he knows that he should come this time by is another story. I mean, obviously one of the fastest guys in the service, multiple world champion in the series. He's easily one of the fastest drivers in dirt oval and proving to be one of the faster in dirt road, but that is a mistake and that's going to cost him. Oh, and he doesn't go for the Joker either. So Alex Bergeron's going to end up finishing second in this race. He's not learnt the trick. He'll have to watch back the broadcast. Hopefully he does, and I'll tell him right now, take the Joker on lap 4, not lap 5. You're going to miss out on that beautiful run that you get out of the first corner and down the back straight. So Bergeron going to, he might even finish in third. Actually, Alderton is pretty close there. We'll have to wait and see as through the final few corners they will come. Silva's going to take the win in race number 2, but where is Bergeron going to file out? Alderton has made a mistake though. This is it then. Round the final couple of corners, Bergeron to the Joker. Silva takes the win. And where is Alderton?
Finishes P2. Bergeron P3. Bodie Cryer P4. Edmondson the first driver to miss out on the feature.
He took a very odd line trying to maximize his speed out of the final corner. I didn't actually see where he ended up because he was so far into the runoff area on the outside there, Adam Alderton. But he takes P2, so Bergeron, wow, a mistake on lap 4 really has cost him there. And then, of course, not taking the Joker. Wow. As we head into the consolation race. Sindre Silva will start on the front row of the grid for the feature race, joined by Adam Alderton, Alex Bergeron, and I believe it was Bodie Cryer in there as well. But this is big. Daniel Aish, Josh Edmondson, Connor Parisi, Josh Fox, Keaton Swade. Arguably two of the fastest rallycross drivers on the service and also one of the fastest short course drivers, two of the fastest short course drivers on the surface as well. And we are ready to see which two of them are going to make their way into the feature race. The lights are on, the revs are rising. We are ready to go racing for 5 laps of the consolation. And it's a great start from Ash on the inside line. And oh, he's just, oh, they've made contact between himself and I think that's Edmondson in the background. And oh, more contact in the background as well. That's Keaton Swain, who's been turned around. Josh Fox up into second at the moment, as there's utter carnage heading through the first few corners. Ash still leads with Fox in second. And then I believe it's Connor Parisi and Josh Edmondson in that order in the background of the shot. And no, it's Edmondson followed by Parisi. as they make their way through the long left-hander. You can see the back wheels, the inside, the rear wheels of the cars getting lifted up. The cars are very flexible in these rallycross cars. Oh, that's Fox into the lead there. Ash has run all the way wide and skips past there. We'll have a slowdown, maybe even a penalty after the race, so that's unfortunate for him, but it doesn't look like his chances of making it to the feature are very high at the moment. We'll see now, is anybody going to take to the Joker on this first time by Josh?
We'll see. Josh Fox doesn't. Edmondson and Parisi go together. So the Jim Beaver Esports teammates, along with Daniel Eisch, go together. So this is going to prompt Josh Fox, I believe, to Joker this time by here, Dane. I don't see any possible way this is going to go well for Josh Fox if he doesn't respond to this Joker quick. But now it's going to be a battle between teammates, Edmondson and Parisi, for that transfer spot.
Edmondson with the blue trim on his fistful of bourbon Jim Beaver Esports car. And Josh Fox now making his way through, up and over the jump into the final couple of quarters. No, he doesn't take to the Joker. He goes around. So that's interesting stuff there from Josh Fox. He feels like he has a big enough advantage as running on board with Edmondson. It is definitely a battle between those two Jim Beaver Esports cars as to who is going to make it into the feature race. They are battling over second position, mounting those blue turtle curbs through onto this first dirt section of the lap. Now sending it sideways into this hairpin and trying to get the most traction, as much traction as possible on the exit. Back onto the dirt for the second time in the lap. He's run a bit wide now, as Parisi's actually made some mistake behind him. He's dropped right back behind Daniel Ash, so something's happened there. Not too sure what happened to Parisi, but it must have happened into the hairpin or into the dirt section, because he's lost a heap of time, almost 5 seconds.
We'll see if we can find out here. On board with Parisi. He's coming out of the final corner. I believe it happened here. Oh my! He got a little bit too much on the barrier. That door closed from his teammate Edmondson, and unfortunately that is what happened to Connor Parisi, and that puts him down the order behind Aish. But up in front, still Josh Fox, and still has yet to Joker. He needs to do it here soon. Dane, you mentioned it, needs to do it on this lap. Exactly what he is going to do. Will it be close at all with Josh Edmondson coming through the final corner? And you can see that the Williams Esports machine goes right on by, and Josh Fox in prime position to walk away with this LCQ win.
And it looks like he will be starting 9th place on that feature grid. Edmondson will be starting in 10th unless something terrible happens to him, because he's got a lovely 6-second gap to his teammate now. He's just got ahead of Daniel Ash. So this is going to be very interesting stuff heading into the feature race, how Fox and Edmondson can do as he comes around the final few corners. Now up and over the jump goes Josh Fox, clipping the curb on the inside a little bit too much maybe, but good line nonetheless through the final couple of corners. Bang, across the line he goes, and he takes the win in the consolation race after starting down in 4th position. So it's a fantastic result for Josh Fox there, with Josh Edmondson in that final transfer spot. So it's the two Joshes making their way through at the moment into the feature race. The drivers are now in a 2-minute warm-up, and we will get ready to go for the 10-lap feature race. 10 drivers, 10 laps, and hopefully a lot of good racing, Josh.
That's what we always hope for, and Fox and Edmondson being added to that group for the feature race. And we truly have 10 amazing drivers that are going to go fighting here in the feature. And I think, Dane, I mean, this feature race could be seen in any stretch of the World Championship Series. Not unfamiliar, and I love having driver cameras. Take a look at Robbie Larrill getting some practice in the warm-up with his child there on his lap. That is just absolutely fantastic. And I don't know how good of practice he is getting, but he is at least getting some practice and some quality time with the family as he gets ready to go. We'll pop in all the other drivers that we have on cameras from top to bottom. Bo Albert, top middle. Sindra Silva, top right. Adam Alderton, bottom left. And Garrett Maines, bottom right. We'll be checking in with these 5 as they all go racing in the feature. Not a single one of them eliminated today. They'll all be racing here in the feature. This one's going to be exciting, Dane.
And that's just a message to all the drivers who decided not to give us access to an inside look at their rigs. If you give us access, you'll make the feature. It's plain and simple. Proof right here at Barcelona. All 5 drivers who gave us access to their webcams, bang, all of them in the feature. And that is going to be awesome to see if we get some good battles here today. It's almost impossible for us to get battles where we don't have at least one driver where we can see a little bit of a closer inside look into what they're busy doing. But that was a really awesome shot there with Robbie LaRue and his child there. That was super funny. I believe the child was busy pressing buttons on his wheel. Obviously, he can't see that because he's in VR, so he can't really see much of anything that's going on around him in the real world. And I feel like there might have been some interesting buttons pressed, causing him to veer off the circuit, possibly. But yeah, that was a very funny shot there that we saw. But drivers are now getting up onto the grid, so it's time to take a look at how they'll line up. And it is almost entirely World Championship drivers on the front row of the grid. It's Bo Albert and Sindra Silva lining up first and second. Garrett Maines in third, Adam Alderton in fourth. Robbie LaRue and Alex Bergeron line up 5th and 6th on row number 3 as everybody is on the grid. Jakob Raffos, Bodie Cryer, Josh Fox and Josh Edmondson in the bottom part of the grid. We are waiting now on one driver. I believe it's Jakob Raffos. No, it's not. Who are we waiting for? Garrett Maines is who we're waiting for. And we now have 10 drivers on the grid. The biggest grid we've seen all evening. The lights are on. We are ready to race for 10 laps here at Barcelona. And we go green, and yet another fantastic start from Bo Albert on the inside line, and he will take the lead, and up the inside sneaks up the inside. I'm not too sure who it was, but got up the inside very nicely indeed. I believe it was the real, but he's got a tap behind from Sylvan. He's now getting beaten up as they go 3 wide through the dirt section, and Robbie LaRue's eaten one of those blue tire barriers heading through the first couple of corners of the race. Adam Alderton is now in 3rd place. Fox has just been pushed wide and passed by Raffos, and all chaos is breaking loose here as Albert still leads this race by just over half a second.
It's Bo Albert at the front who got the best start. Rafa's going to be able to get by Fox. Fox going to have to settle for P6 for now, but it's a Logitech G-Altus Esports orange and blue machine at the front of Bo Albert getting the best start. He's pulling away from Sindra Silva now. Garrett Maines sits in that 3rd spot. He's trying to catch up to both of these front runners right now, trying to be in the mix here in the feature race for that feature race win. He has not gotten a win in the feature race, Dane, since Atlanta Motor Speedway when he went back-to-back after winning at Daytona as well. He's looking for another win here in Racecraft TV Rallycross in the RX1 feature.
Yep, absolutely. Now riding on board with Garrett Maines, looking at his inside, slams into Sindra Silva there. Huge contact, maybe a little bit of retaliation for what happened last time out at Brands Hatch. Maybe just a bit of that sprinkled in there. But that was massive contact heading into the hairpin as they go side by side once more. We've seen this many times over the course of the season, these two battling it out. The regulars in this series and the very contrasting versions of them in their sim races. They're going side by side through the Joker. A bit of a tap to the quarter panel of Garrett Maines from Silva, and once again getting a bit of a tap from the back beat from Sindra Silva as they make their way through now the first couple of corners of the circuit on lap number 3. Both of them taking to their Joker on the same lap, coming out behind Josh Fox, but he of course still has to take the Joker, so it's not really for position, but it could hold them up as Silva swings it down the inside. Maines all over the runoff there. He might get a slowdown for that. I'm not too sure how the track limits hit here at Barcelona, but he runs a bit wide anyway. Sindra Silva up the inside, now through the left, over the jump. Are they going to make it through in one piece? Just about, as they still side by side heading to the final couple of corners. Silva all the way around the outside now, might be able to get a better run, but it is Garrett Maines who keeps that 4th position awesome racing we're seeing between these two.
Barely keeps that spot over Garrett Maines and over Sindra Silva from Garrett Maines, and love having both of them. We can see both of them as they go fighting. You can just see both of them just so intensely battling each other on the racetrack, and looks like it's settled out for now. And we check back in at the front. Bo Albert in that Logitech G Altus Esports machine with a great run at the front right now, and continues to pull away from any drivers behind him, and currently that gap is about 4.3 seconds back to the nearest driver of Adam Alderton. Bo Albert proving himself as one of the best drivers in iRacing Rallycross. We know that with all of his countless seasons in the World Championship, but just this season has not had the luck in the World Championship that he has been looking for. Definitely having some good luck here in Racecraft TV Rallycross. Hopefully that keeps up for these final 5 laps as he will come across the start-finish line this time by.
He will start the second half of the race as well. Lovely 4.7 second gap at the front he has at the moment, and that is increasing. It's up to 6 seconds now. Honestly, the gap is insane between him and Alderton in second. Fox is just taking to the Joker, by the way, as that just updates on the timing tower, and now he cycles back into 5th position. Alderton's Joker is something that is yet to be seen, and he is definitely under pressure from Silva and Maines. I don't think it's going to be very close between them, as there'll be even more contact between the two of those drivers as they make their way through the hairpin. Alderton's going to have to take to the Joker soon, and he's definitely going to be losing positions when he does. Might even be under pressure from Josh Fox, who's only 2.5 seconds back as it stands now. Alderton opts not to take the Joker on this time by, but Maines and Silva, they've been going at it the entire race so far. Maines, every time he seems to have built up a little bit of a gap, something happens and Silva's right back on his rear bumper, and it seems that he can't really get rid of the Norwegian just behind him. He's always trying to make something happen, especially into this corner. Another look up the inside and another little bit of contact. Now Maines is trying to push Adam Alderton out of the way as they make their way through the dirt right-hander, and Sindre Silva sends up the inside as well and gets turned around into the wall, and Josh Fox moves up into that position, and Alderton has been turned around there as well. Oh, Sindre Silva actually it was that got turned around. Fox kept on going, so big contact there. I have to see a replay of that one because I missed most of it. I was on screen with Garrett Maines, and I think most of it all happened behind him, but he's going to be very happy now up into 2nd place. Let's see what happened on the replay, Josh.
And it looked like it was just bottlenecking down into this corner. You can see Maines goes up the inside, blocking a little bit of Sindra Silva there, and Silva makes a little bit of contact with Alderton, and that was all that she wrote. And that sent Silva around, and that sent Alderton into the wall, and that is going to be race over for those drivers as they will now have to just try and salvage whatever they can. But a great run up at the front right now for Bo Albert as he continues to dominate. 2 to go. It'll be white flag this time by. Exactly what the Altus Esports driver wanted, I think, for the confidence. Yes, it's not the World Championship, but running against some of the drivers that he will be competing against this Wednesday, and also just running with some of the other drivers who are known around dirt road as fast guys, gonna be good for the confidence heading into Wednesday, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even though it's not against all of the World Championship drivers, he doesn't need that. He's beaten some of the World Championship drivers by a considerable margin. You look at Garrett Maines, yes, he's been battling, but to be honest, I mean, Albert really did have the pace over him anyway. 5 seconds is the gap over there. 6 seconds to Josh Fox. And you look back at Sindre Silva, yes, he had the issues, but he was already quite far ahead of him. Nice Bergeron out there as well. Unfortunate that he's all the way down in 9th. Jacob Brathwaite too, but of course he is out of the race. But coming around the final few corners now, Bo Albert absolutely dominant in this 8th round of Racecraft TV Rallycross RX1, and across the line he takes the win. Little bit of a fist pump there from the Aussie as he takes the win, his first win of the season, his first round of the season, and that must be pretty special for him to get some good confidence heading into the final heading into the World Championship round, excuse me, on Wednesday evening. So he will be delighted, I would imagine, with that result. Hopefully he'll come around and have a little bit of a chat with us after the race as well. It looks like almost everybody is finished. We're going to take a look at the full race results. Bo Albert taking the win by 5.8 seconds ahead of Garrett Maines. Josh Fox in third position, rounding out your podium. It was an entirely Subaru field here in the feature race, and fourth in that field was Josh Edmonds and Sindra Silva in fifth, coming to blows with Garrett Maines and Adam Oddson, who finished just behind him in sixth. Bodie Cryer in seventh, Robbie DeVille in eighth, Alex Bergeron in ninth. I believe had some very big issues in that feature race, and Jakob Raffos not making it past the start. Unfortunately for him, he finishes 10th and last. Oh, and look at that, Josh. Just briefly sum up that race. I think it was very chaotic, but we did have some very good, clean racing for a lot of it.
We saw, so I think some of the best racing we have seen, especially between Silva and Maines. I don't want to put it out there, but I think we might be seeing a little bit of a rivalry starting to develop between those two drivers, and who knows, it might carry over into the World Championship, but they might keep it in Racecraft TV Rallycross. Who knows? We're just gonna have to tune into the World Championship on Wednesday to find out.
Yeah, absolutely, and it makes sense. The more you race somebody, the more likely you are to form a rivalry with them, and those two have been going at each other's throats in this series and the World Championship as well. So and last season's World Championship too. They've been going at it for over a year now at this point. So yeah, maybe we've got a bit of a rivalry forming there. But now it is time to have a very special guest in the broadcasting booth, as he joins us now after taking a very dominant performance there for the Australian. He had absolutely no luck in the World Championship Series, so hopefully this will give you some confidence heading into Wednesday. Bo Albert joins us after taking the win in this round. That must feel pretty good after really a dominant performance here tonight.
Yeah, well, it went a lot better than I thought. Obviously, I'm a little bit underprepared at the moment. I've been busy with other events over the weekend and such, so I've really only done about like 50, 60 laps or so in practice for this, so I was surprised to qualify third. I thought it might have been a bit worse than that, and obviously we got a little bit lucky with Garrett blowing the start in the first heat. I don't know, maybe that's a present from last week at Brands Hatch in the World Championship, I don't know, but we were able to get ourselves into clean air, and once you get yourself clean air in rallycross, it's quite simple really. Get your head down, hit the laps that you can, that you've practiced, that you can hit, and don't make any mistakes.
Yeah, clear air is definitely king in rallycross. I don't know if you saw any of it, but Maines and Silva were not in clear air. They were side by side for a full lap at one point during the race. It's something that I wasn't expecting here at Barcelona. I've heard a lot from the drivers that it's very much single file. The Joker is the only real chance that you're going to get to make a pass on someone, unless of course they make a mistake. The Joker here is a little bit odd, that we were talking about earlier in, I think it was last week actually at this point, where you were talking about the Joker being an odd one. You can't take it on the last lap like you would normally do in rallycross if you don't need to take it earlier. You want to take it the lap before the last lap because of the advantage it gives you heading down the front straight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something I was able to discover fairly early on, I think ahead of, some of our competitors, and we were able to use it in the Rallycross All-Star Invitational. Sadly, that event didn't go well for me, but we were able to use it with Luis Nunez, my teammate, in his heat race, and it ended up giving him the race win over Kevin Ellis, who dominated that heat up to that point. So it's very, very effective to not take it on the last lap, because that run you get down the front straight through that very awkward little turn one, I guess you're going to call it, even though it's not much of a corner, and then down into turn two, it's worth about 5, 6, 7 tenths. It's quite amazing just how much you gain back. So if you take it on the last lap, you obviously don't get that benefit. You get all the time loss, but you don't get any of the time recovery back down that next straight. So for me, that was, made life very easy for the strategy. It was, I knew I had clean air, so take it as late as I could, but not as late as you possibly can. So not the last lap, so lap before.
Well, that That was a very interesting strategy choice. I probably wouldn't have figured that out myself, so thank you for mentioning that to me earlier on in the week. But congratulations on taking the win here. Hopefully that will give you a bit of confidence and some good luck heading into the World Championship round on Wednesday. Thank you for joining us for an interview as well. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to here on Racecraft TV?
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to give a massive shout out to all the work that's going on in the team at the moment. Ultra C Sports are really punching above their weight to sort of get me and Luis more competitive in Rallycross, and that also goes hand in hand with the great partnerships we have with Logitech G, Virtual Racing School, Cube Controls, and a whole slew of others who are helping push us to the front. So a big shout out to them, and finally a shout out to you guys for the broadcast. You do a great job.
Well, thank you very much, and hopefully we'll see you do a bit better than you have been in the World Championship on Wednesday.
Absolutely. Cheers, guys.
Thanks a lot, Bo. And it was great to hear from our race winner there, Josh. And joining you now in the commentary booth is Garrett Maines.
And a great finish from Garrett Maines once again. And another second place for you here, Garrett. And we saw the battles with Sindra Silva throughout the middle portion of that feature race. Was the car handling good because you got a little bit back in the battle, and then it was just you and Silva going side by side for what seemed like about 4 or 5 laps there?
I don't know if I just had too big of a mirror in the car or if I was actually struggling with it being tight. I don't know which it was, but I don't know. I couldn't get off the line worth of crap, and that really, I think that set the tone for the race, really, both times. I thought I'd made a good change for it. Not so much. Honestly, I might have made it worse. I just couldn't figure that part out, and I feel like I got caught up in the mess both restarts because of that. And definitely couldn't find my place on the track. I just caught up in traffic, battling Sindre really hard there. And I mean, at the end of the day, just you got to be out front here. It's so hard to pass.
And taking what you've learned here from Barcelona, obviously wasn't used in the qualifying series, hasn't been used in any previous World Championships, only used in the All-Star Invitational in the spring. Can you take a lot of what you've learned here, not only about the car, but about how the track races, and take that into the World Championship on Wednesday, especially since this is basically a brand new track for everybody?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of the ones that I was dreading in the World Championship, and I mean, I'm happy that I feel like I have some pace relatively speaking, but we'll see. I feel like I need to find a little bit more, be able to start up a little bit higher. I mean, obviously you can duke it out here, but it doesn't really help your pace. You battle with one guy, it better be the one for the transfer position or you're not making it. So it's going to be important to qualify well, get away from the mess, and hopefully just find a place on the racetrack that's clean track and dig.
Going from one of the most popular, or one of the most newer circuits, to one of the most popular circuits at Hell Lankabanen, is the confidence level there that you can keep the points lead and walk away with another feature race win?
I'm going to argue that Hell is not the most popular track.
Oh.
But that's personal opinion. But definitely not my favorite. We'll see. I'm not super fond of the track. I was better in the Beetle there, that's for sure. But we'll have to see how it goes. I mean, this race definitely helped me in the points. I think it's me and Alex battling it out close, and Josh, I know he's somewhere in the mix as well, but just thankfully I think today was what I needed to do. We'll see. I think I'll be good enough there, let's say.
Well, we'll see how you do in the Subaru in 1 week's time, Garrett. Thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth post-race, and once again, congratulations on that podium finish.
Appreciate it, guys. I also got to give a shout out to OfferPad, Smithfield, Linux, Nutrient Ag Solutions, Digital Hub, everybody at ESC for all the hard work they put in this year in the Coke Series. So thankful that we were able to make it back in for next year, and let's see what we can do on Wednesday.
Thank you very much for joining us once again. That is Garrett Maines, driver the number 2 for Elliott Sadler Esports. And really quickly, before we wrap up, we are given an opportunity to speak with Sindre Silva, driver the number 63, standing by with Dane Baird right now.
Sindre, welcome to the broadcasting booth. Probably a bit disappointing for you, but it looked like it was a lot of fun out there.
Yeah, it was fun. It's fun to get some practice laps in and see the competition before Wednesday, for sure.
And you also got to see how you can try and make moves on drivers in the race, because we were hearing from a couple of drivers before the event that Barcelona might not be the easiest place to make moves on. You certainly gave it your best go against Garrett Maines during the race. You were side by side for the better part of an entire lap at some point in that feature race. I just couldn't quite make it work. Do you think that you figured out a few things about the circuit before you head into the World Championship on Wednesday?
Sure. It gives when you are allowed to race against the people you're going to race against in the World Championship, you will figure out their pace and where you can get moves done. So I felt like I tried. Unfortunately, it didn't go our way, but yeah, we will try to fight back on Wednesday instead.
And then it's your home event. Next time out in this championship, we go to Hell Lankabanen. Probably not the most popular circuit on the calendar, but it's a very unique one in iRacing Rallycross. I can see by your reaction, it's definitely not the most popular in the service, but definitely one of the more interesting circuits. It's possibly even more difficult to make passes there than here. But one of the first European-style rallycross tracks on the service, so it holds a special place in some people's hearts, but I think you're not one of them.
No. Hell is for sure. It's a fun track because I feel it's really realistic. But for when you have some part of the tracks, that really makes the track worse. It's not fun to drive there, and for sure, had it not been those issues on the track, I think it would have been a really fun track to drive with the dirt corners and things like that. It's mega fun, and I hope I can be faster sometime because it's my home track, and I want to show off some pace on my home track for sure.
Well, we look forward to seeing that. Good luck in the World Championship on Wednesday. Congratulations on finishing 5th here today. Thanks for joining us for an interview. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to here on Racecraft TV?
First of all, I want to give a shout out for you guys for giving the broadcast and showing off some iRacing. I want to thank Rotarian Esport for their awesome support. Our sponsors, Omen, Manatee, and Pure Norway for sponsoring the organization and keeping the organization going around.
Well, thank you very much, and good luck for Wednesday. We'll see you next week at Hell.
Thank you, guys.
Well, it was good to hear from Sindri there as well, and good to get a couple of the drivers. We can see their faces. It's much better to have a chat with them that way after the races. You can see by his reaction there, Josh. The next round of the championship that we're going to be heading to, Hell Lankabanen. We see some beautiful pictures from that racetrack. Not the most popular circuit on the calendar, but it's almost illegal to leave it off a calendar, isn't it? It's such an iconic rallycross circuit that if you have it available to you, you can't really leave it out.
Well, I'm a fan of it, at least. I mean, a pretty challenging joker. You got to be basically stopped on a dime, rotate that dirt corner really well. Then the challenging asphalt sections, of course, a diving dirt corner as well down there at turn 3 and uphill final corner. I mean, it's a very entertaining circuit. We've seen entertaining races there in the past, and I don't think Racecraft TV Rallycross is going to let us down when it comes to the race from Hell Lankabanen. I'm looking forward to it in 1 week's time, and Dane, it is going to be an interesting round as we wrap up the European section of the calendar.
Yep, absolutely. The last time we will see circuits in Europe, we go back to Phoenix for round number 10. But yeah, round number 9 at Hell, I am definitely looking forward to that. We can hopefully have another showing from Bo Albert as well. Maybe he'll show his face once more. It was great to have some of the guys out there on the circuit today. Big grid as well here in RX1. But that just about wraps everything up then for today's really awesome racing. I was not expecting it at all here at the circuit of Barcelona, Catalonia. We saw great racing in RX2, even better racing in RX1. We hope you'll join us next time at round 9. Hell Lankabanen awaits for the drivers. Hope to see you there. But for now, from myself, Dane Baird, Josh Lee, Josh Edmondson, Trevor Teal, Istvan Below, and everyone else here at Racecraft TV Rallycross, want to wish you a good night. Happy racing. We'll see you next Sunday.